Hey, this is Lyndsey Parker from Yahoo Music. I'm here on tvdoneright.com to talk about another somewhat exciting week on American Idol. Wasn't as exciting last week when, Casey Abrams almost lost his lunch and I almost lost a few years off my life with the excitement of him being saved. But what was exciting about this week, in a way, was that two people had to go home because Casey was saved last week, and they were all performing without the proverbial safety net of the judges' save because it's gone forever. And you know who else is gone forever? Thea Magia and Naima Adedapo. I have mixed feelings about this. With the Naima thing, I kind of wish it was an April Fool's joke because I like her, but she actually was my favorite girl in the competition. But you know what also was kind of a joke was her reggae performance this week. When she did that, I kind of knew she was going home. I love that she brings the reggae and that kind of flavor, but that doesn't mean you have to sing in a Jamaican accent for an entire song. It's kind of ironic, it was Elton John week, that she did I'm Still Standing, because she's no longer still standing in the competition. And it's a shame, but a little Jamaican toasting goes a long way. When you lapse into an accent for an entire song, not only does it detract from your actual real singing voice, which hypothetically is what people are judging you on, but it starts to seem like Jamaican Idol, and she's from Milwaukee, not Jamaica. So I'm sad to see her go. I really loved the fact that she took risks. Unfortunately, this was just one risk that didn't pay off. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum is someone who never took any risks, which was Thea Magia. She's also opposite to Naima in another way, in that she's the youngest person on the show and Naima was the oldest. Thea had a really good voice. She technically maybe had one of the best female voices in the competition. She was incapable of hitting a bad note. And she was really adorable, Disney star in the making, totally cute as a button little kid. But I never really connected with her. She always brought it vocally, but I never was very wowed by her performance. I never really had any emotion, good or bad. Like, there are some performances where I'm like, oh my god, that sucked, what the hell? And then there are some where I was like, that was amazing, I'm practically crying, it was so good. Thea, very Stepford child to me, very robotic. I think she has the raw talent, and I think she's just young. She just turned 16. She's actually the youngest American Idol finalist in the history of all 10 seasons. And, she just needs to grow a little bit. It was her time to go. I don't miss her, but I wish her well. The Naima thing hurt me a little more. That was actually, of the top 13, the first elimination that actually really bummed me out. But it could have been worse, people, because my boy Paul McDonald, who, according to my chart, he's my number one. Paul McDonald was in the bottom 3 this week for the first time, and I was very scared. And anyone who was at Yahoo yesterday, hearing me watch the show at my desk, they know how scared I was because I was like screaming. And then, when he was saved, I did a little happy dance in my cube. People at Yahoo think I'm nuts, and you know what? Kind of am. I'm nuts for Paul. So I'm a little worried for him. There was a time when I thought he was a shoo-in for the top 4 or maybe even to win, but I think now his best bet is to just go as far as he can on the show, which, might be 1 or 2 more weeks, and then get a record deal for his band. He's definitely a guy who needs a band and needs a guitar. Not the band that he played with on the results show this week, though. He played with his band on the run, which consisted of Casey, Stefano, and James. And I don't know what was going on, but it was like the first group number in Idol history where I actually was longing for some lip syncing. It was bad. That band should have run right off the stage, which is a shame because they're all great separately, just not together. But Paul's real band, the Grand Magnolias back in Nashville, are really good, and in that context he really shines. If you remember the very little watched except by me show on Fox that was supposed to be the band version of American Idol, The Next Great American Band, the Grand Magnolias would have won that. And then no one would have ever heard from him again, so I guess it's good he went on American Idol. But basically, he just uses Idol fame to further his band, because for whatever reason, he's sort of plateauing in this competition. And it really pains me to say that, because, Paul, you're still my favorite, but, while other stars in the competition are rising, I think he's sort of plateauing. I think he needs a new sequin suit. I think he needs to call up his tailor and get an even flashier suit for next week, which is Rock and Roll Hall of Fame week, when he can hopefully rock it out. And it's going to be an interesting theme, because Rock and Roll Hall of Fame pretty means sing anything good and anything classic. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has anyone from Madonna and ABBA to, of course, the classics, the Beatles, the Stones, the Eagles, and, some interesting rock people like the Stooges and the Sex Pistols and Alice Cooper. How awesome would it be if James Durbin did some Alice Cooper, or better yet, the Sex Pistols or Stooges? Like Lust for Life, or that's actually Iggy Pop. What would be a good Stooges song? Search and Destroy by James Durbin. Never's gonna happen. But James Durbin is the only guy really bringing the rock and the pyro and the David Lee Roth split kicks. David Lee Roth, there you go. Van Halen are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We got to hear some Van Halen from James Durbin. It's going to be an interesting show. It's only 9 people, and interestingly, only 3 of them are girls. So much for it being a girl season. It's never going to be a girl season until you take those phones out of the tweens' hands, the little girls who are texting, and their moms' hands too. Just call blocking on them. So it's going to be a boys' season. Probably not Paul, my boy Paul. And that's really all I have to say. It's interesting, you know, we're going to see if Casey rebounds, if Paul rebounds, if the girls can hold their own, if we'll see a little more rock than we have, because it was a very ballad-heavy week this week. But we got a competition on our hands, and until then, Parker out, and I will see you on tvdoneright.com next week.